What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Donna Denise Walker, and you are tuned into my Donna Denise Walker YouTube channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome for and I'm sitting here drinking my cup of coffee. Delicious. I'm enjoying every bit of it. I think I'm gonna go for a ride today. Oh, honey. And be thankful. And be thankful and be thankful and be thankful. Whew. Please like the, please share. Please like the video. Please share the video. I really appreciate it. Y'all, I just got a phone call. It wasn't the ideal news, but it was news that I needed to hear. When you say that you are never not a mom, when people say that, you know, once your kids get older and they turn 18, I don't get when people say stuff like that up to their kids. When you turn 18 years old, you're gonna have to get out of here and figure out what you need to do. I mean, I know people do that. Hey, how you doing, Scott? Whew. How's everything going? I hope you're having a blessed day. Y'all, when I say I've been crying, y'all probably see the puffy eyes. I cried this. Ooh, I want to cry right now, but I'm not going to, because I just want to say prayer. When people say don't, you know, like prayer, I believe in prayer. I believe in the power of prayer. You know what I'm saying? I believe in it like so much. But for people who say stuff like, when your child turns 18 years old, they got to get out and forge their way. Well, if you don't give them all the tools they need to do what they need to do to leave, then how do you expect them to be successful? They're going to come back, or they're going to fail, and, you know, we don't want that. I hope everybody's having a blessed day. I didn't put a title on. I just went live. I was live a couple of minutes ago. I released my kids to the world after they graduated. They are boys. It turned them into men. You know, okay, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm going to say that that works for you, and I'm glad that that worked for you. But correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that when they were in your care, you gave them the tools they needed to have when they went out into the world. I'm sure you gave them all the opportunities that you were able to give them to go out in the world. You know what I'm saying? When you tell, because I have boys too. You know what I'm saying? And my thing was, well, my husband's thing was, and my thing too, was one of the things that you need to do is you need to go get some sort of education or get yourself a job that to support yourself and be happy in what you do. And that was the thing that we told our kids. My gripe is when people say, when my kid turns 18, they got to get out of here. Well, if that is your thing to tell your kids to leave when they turn 18, because, you know, that's what you feel that they need to do, I think that you need to give them some kind of guidance of how to get to that next step. And I think that if we do more of that, we'll have a lot more successful people in their own rights, whether it is pushing a broom, creating a broom, or selling a broom. You know what I'm saying? And so And I say that to say that as a mother, I could never stop being a mom. You know what I'm saying? Because life is short and life is precious. And after what I personally am going through and going through, you realize how precious life is. You realize that your kids are a reflection of you. You realize that how they represent themselves is technically how they're representing where they came from, and they came from you. So that's all I was saying with that. If they ain't ready, then you help them get to the next step. That's correct, and I agree with you. And I agree with you too about, you graduated. Sorry about that. My internet is not the best where I'm at right now. If they don't leave the nest, then they will never grow. And that's true too. I agree with that. I'm sorry. I had like 10 people on here, and then I went off for a second. So my internet is not the best today. They're actually working on the lines outside, and there was some kind of thing going on in the neighborhood. So please forgive me with that. But no, I agree with, if you don't, the next step, then they'll never grow. Just be a phone call away. And that is true. That is true, that they will never grow. And that I agree with you. There are some cases where people go to the other extreme, where they don't ever, they do everything. They hover over their children because they feel like they need to, you know, to do everything for them. But in fact, that you are hindering them, because when you do everything for them, then they don't know how to do it themselves. You know what I'm saying? Me and my husband, there's a story a long time ago when we were first raising kids and stuff like that. Young. I think where parents make a mistake nowadays is let the kids live with them until they're 48 years. Yeah. There's an old saying: it could never be two men and two women living in the same household. It just can't help. It can't help. It doesn't work out. So when you got a grown behind man that should be making decisions, and then he's being told, because this is your house. And I'm gonna go back to what I was saying in a second, okay? But this is your house, right? You set your rules for your house, right? And you're setting your rules for your house, and your son or your daughter or whoever, 45 years old, you don't want nobody coming in your house at 3 o'clock in the morning. But they're 45 years old, right? They're out there living life, and they might get back late, and you're like, you sitting in there like, don't be coming to my house this time of night, and you 45 years old. You know what I'm saying? So that it don't match. It don't look good. And then, like I was saying before, there's some parents on the other, hand, they do everything for their children. They don't want them to make any mistakes because they're afraid. In some cases, it could be because there was nobody for them, so they want to make sure that they're there for their kids. So there's the extreme. But then, yet and still, you do need to still be there for your children. And I agree with Scott was saying. He was like, I'm a phone call away, call me up. Let me know what's going on. Be there for your kids. You'll never stop loving your kids. I will never stop loving my boys. My boys are tall, okay? They look down at me and be like, hey, mama, how you doing? I'll be like, hey, baby. Y'all seen him. He's come on my channel a couple of times. He's a big dude, you know what I'm saying? And don't let me be out there and somebody say something to me. He be like, I know you're not talking to my mama. Because boys are very protective when it comes to their mama, okay? And girls, you tend to be daddy's girls. I know, because I'm a daddy's girl. My dad sometimes will get on this live with me, and he'd be like, oh, I love you, baby. Like, oh, thank you, daddy. It's like I am a grown behind woman, but it's something about when your father says, I love you, you're like, thank you, daddy. You go, yeah, but I I feel like I got some news, guys. Like we got some news earlier in the week. I'm not gonna tell you guys what it is, but it was something that it caused us. You know how you go on in life, and something just comes like a sucker punch. It was a sucker punch, and we just like sat back for a second and held our breath until we got this news down. It's not the best news, but it's like I feel like prayer does help. And when people say that, prayer helps so much. I got on my knees and I prayed like a baby. What's up, George? How you doing? Hillary, what's up? How you doing? I hope you guys are having a blessed day. Am I the only mama on here? No, I'm not, because Scott, you were talking, you said you had some boys or whatever. Yeah. And guys tend to say that because my husband is so like that too. He's like, because like me, when I cook dinner, I don't do it all the time. This is my downfall with me. I have to, when I cook dinner, I give everybody dinner. I call my kids, hey, y'all gonna come and eat? And they look at me and they're like, yes, mama. So I'm like, I serve my kids, and my husband's like, let them boys get up and get their own food. But I'm like, but I'm mom. Some things have to break out. Mom's sons appreciate me sending them in the world after they graduate. Don't get me wrong. They didn't at the time they were made, but I helped them make it. How they are doing well. Yeah, and okay, and that's what Scott said. And I guess that's her name. Just double tape this screen. What's that mean? Oh, just double tape. Okay. All right. Yeah. So like my boys can cook. Okay, my boys, they cook better than me. They can cook, and I think I can cook. And I'm in a family of nothing but cooks. Like that's our battle. Like if you go there and they like you got a certain dish that you make, and if somebody comes to make it better, that's a fight. So my boys can cook. I told them, you're not gonna have the relationship you in. You're not gonna have them talk about, oh, I'm not cooking tonight. You better learn how to cook. My boys can cook. They can throw down. Each one of them have their special dishes. Like my youngest son, he takes these different sauces and he puts them together. Like he'll take some garlic, he'll roast it, he'll take this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, he's got oh my God. He just makes whatever meal, he enhances it. My other son, he's more like a natural person, so he does a lot of natural stuff. And my older son, he's our family traditional. Like he makes a lot of rice and wingle peas, curry goat. He does. Oh my God, he cooks the best pork with the best chicharron on it. Because there's two cultures that come into my family, right? And my son has mastered both sides of our family table. You know what I'm saying? He is the GOAT when it comes to cooking. You know what I'm saying? And I love him. And I always taught him that it is very important when, learn how to cook, learn how to take care of yourself. My husband, he pushed the issue with my kids to, if a car gets broken down, like know how to change the tire. And if we had daughters, guess what? He would have taught them the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Because as women, a lot of time, not all women, so please don't get on me about this, but from my generation, a good percentage of the women, not all the women, we tend to not know how to fix a tire, change the oil, all of that other good stuff. And if I had girls, my husband would be like, no, you're going to learn how to. Matter of fact, he taught me how to change a tire. He taught me how to do the oil and stuff like that. So, that was what my husband did for me. And he was like, if you stranded out there, you need to learn how to do these things. And that's the stuff that I'm talking about for our kids, that we need to teach them the importance of reading the room. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, and what I mean by reading the room, you know, a lot of times you might go in there and you might perceive certain things going on, and you might interject yourself into something that's not necessarily to do that. But if you read the room, then you know. Your husband did what a father was supposed to do, getting his son prepared for the world. That's right. That's right. That's what my husband, and you know what I used to do with my boys? I used to take them out to eat individually, right? First of all, that is just me. I wanted to see what it is that, you know, what it is that they like when they go out. What's their personality, a one-on-one. So we would have a conversation, we would talk, I would ask them what's going on with them. And I did this, like, once a week. Okay, so it's your turn, and I had 3 boys. So, some of them went out twice a week, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it was really cool because I would go out to them. Now I learned that my oldest son, he likes to go to he goes to Chicken Shack or Greasy Spoon. That's him. But he will go to a fine dine restaurant and love it as well. But he prefers a Greasy Spoon. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way he cooks too. He cooks with a lot of soul and southern and stuff like that. My middle son, I noticed that he likes stuff like sushi. He loves like very organic type of foods and stuff like that. He likes a restaurant where he could sit down and cross his legs and eat with his hands and stuff like that. He likes stuff like that. Now my youngest son, he wants the waiter to come and wait on him. He loves it. So these are different personalities. But during the course of each one of them, right? I taught them to pull out the chair for the lady. I know it's a little old-fashioned, but something, ladies, when you go on a date, right, and the guy pulls out the chair for you, I don't care how you into, whatever you into, your heart melts, right? That's what my kids pull out the chair. That's just me. I mean, that's the way I treat, my kids. You know what I'm saying? Pull out the chair. You know what I'm saying? Read the room. See if she's the type of lady that likes to order for herself or she likes you to order for her. Read the room. Get to know her. Learn a little bit about her. So these are the stuff that I'm talking about, preparing your kids for when they go out there. When hard times get hard, stick it out in the job that you don't like at the moment and find yourself something else. And then when you find yourself, leave gracefully, so you never know, because on your way up, you don't know if you fall, where you got to go back again. Stuff like that. Like little stuff like that. Being a gentleman, yeah, just being a gentleman. You know what I'm saying? Being courteous, being respectful. Ladies love it. I don't care what you say, ladies. Y'all, if you tell me you want a roughneck dude 24/7. I don't know. I don't think so. You do want a guy that that's going to protect you, but you also want a guy that knows that he's sensitive to your feelings too. So I don't know. What's up? This is Mohan V. What's up? What's up? How you doing? So yeah, I came on here a little earlier today. And it was before I got my phone call, and they say you should never go live when you're not in a good mood. Sometimes I'll be wanting to come on here and just cry and talk with you guys, but sometimes it's better to, not everything should be social media, I suppose. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. There might be one day I get on here and start boo-hooing and crying. I'm human, just like the next person. But yeah, I'm a firm believer that you should, I guess I should start off with, make sure you set the foundation for your children before you send them out in the world. Whatever that foundation may look for you, you know what I'm saying? The things that you feel that are important, because sometimes, even though we think we teach our kids a lot of stuff, like done, darling. Hey, that's so nice to smile and hear stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so so yeah, then sometimes we as parents, we think we could teach our kids a lot, but there's some stuff that our kids can teach us because there's generational things, right? And by this is on my opinion. I'm not no doctor or nothing like that. Oh, thank you. I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but you know, times has changed, and sometimes, depending on what stage in your life, you tend to reflect on the time that you grew up and how things were for you. But as times change, then personalities change, situations change, and even how we do things change. And I think as parents that it's, if possible, to have an open mind to our children when they try to show you a little something, because as parents, we don't want our kids telling us. We want to be the ones to tell them. We want to be the ones to give them advice all the time. But there's some times where our kids can turn around to us and say, based on my times and how I'm living right now, it's so different than when you grew up. Now, I know the conversation doesn't always go that way. It's probably high-pitched, yelling, opinions are flying, and all that other stuff. But I think that as parents, we need to keep in mind, too, that it's important that we allow our children to be able to reflect on the times that, as long as we put them in good standards, great foundation, great, environment. And what I mean is not every environment is picture perfect to the next person. So the environment to you and your family is your best environment. This is something that's called memories that your kids will always say, remember that time when we didn't have no money and the lights was out, but we took the candles and told ghost stories? Yeah, that was my life. I'm serious. There was times when we didn't have no money. Lights went out, you know what I'm saying? And the stuff in the refrigerator, we didn't know when we would have money to turn the lights back on. And the stuff in the refrigerator, and had ice cream, we took out the ice cream. The kids were like, to them, it was the best time for them. You know what I'm saying? And those are the foundations that I'm saying with your children, because they're always going to be a better version, a better copy of us. I learned that men that work hard teaches these kids a lot about life, but in time they are 18 and ready to get out in the world, they will be able to handle anything that is thrown them at them. That is so true. That is so true. And times like I was just talking about, where I remember, we're sitting and just life was life, and it was like no matter what we did, based on what we can do, that was all that we could do, if that makes any sense. I hope I'm not being confusing. But my remember the lights going out in the refrigerator and everything is getting ready to go bad as far as ice cream is concerned and stuff like that. We took the ice cream out, we took the flashlights, we told ghost stories. My kids don't remember. Well, they knew that the lights went out. Okay, kids are smarter than what you think they are, right? But then they talk about, oh, remember that time? And my husband, he is like a genius to me when it comes to electronics, right? So he had this some kind of adapter thing. He put the battery in it. Now I'm sure it to me, I was like, ooh, but it was probably nothing that big. But to me, I was like, ooh. He put the battery in it, and we're sitting there watching TV. We don't have no electricity, eating ice cream with the flashlights and with the tents over us. And my kids felt like that was the best time in their life. So that's what I mean, that, we give them all the foundations they need to go forward. Now, lesson that the kids learn from that, do the best you can. All you can do is all you can do, and the best that you can do, Try to do better for yourself. My youngest son, he swore that his lights would never get turned off, you know. So he made sure he put himself in a position, with our help, of course, that financially, it, you know, I won't say never, but financially, I don't think his lights will ever get turned off. But what he did learn from that is that mommy and daddy at that time did not take their stress and frustration out on the kids. They made it something to remember. So what my son, you know, he said to me, he goes, you know what I'm gonna do, Mom? When I have kids, we're gonna have those nights where our lights got cut off for real. We're gonna do this thing where we're gonna cut off all the lights, and we're gonna tell ghost stories, and you know, and I'm a crybaby, so I'm like, oh, you gonna do what? And he's like, yeah, because it reminds me of growing up. Keep standing by your kids' side and teach them faith. That's right. And help them with life struggles. But don't do it for them. Just help them to do it on Jesus is the way. God bless you and your family. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Your words are very encouraging, by the way, Scott. I appreciate you. And that's right. When you put God first in your life, you know what I'm saying? Like a couple of days ago, we heard some news that we didn't want to hear. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And I feel like, you know, based on my prayers, things are going better for us. But putting God in your life is so important. And even for just the simple things, I was talking to my husband, and we were talking about just making God part of your whole being, you know, just kind of doing things. We're not perfect, you know what I'm saying? There's sometimes I get so frustrated, I'll curse, you know what I'm saying? That's not in my nature to curse, but I have been so mad that I have cursed. I'm not perfect. But for generally, I can look at a situation and be a little bit more humble about it, because I would look at it as a guidance. You know, how would God look at this? You know, how would this be onto another person? How could you sit there and give this person advice if you have a personality that's not good? But anyway, I'm not gonna get into all that stuff. I'm a very spiritual person. I do go to, you know, I was raised in a kingdom home, you know, I went to church and stuff like that, but I found being more spiritual and understanding and being more at one and understanding my personal purpose and why it's important to react and do the things that you're doing. I think spirituality for me and believing in God for me is important. But that's me. But to go back to what I was originally saying is that, you know, being there for your kids is the most important thing. Me as a mom, moms out there, wives out there, you know what I'm saying? We will never stop caring and loving for our kids and making sure that we put the right foundation for our kids to move to the next step in life, and understanding that we're not always going to be the teacher. Sometimes they're going to teach us, you know what I'm saying? And we have to be open-minded about it and allow that openness and that normal as possible. Are you going to get in fights and arguments with your family members, with your kids? Yeah. Are things going to be 100% perfect? No. Are there going to be some times where, you know, you're going to be like, don't ever talk to me again, you know, not meaning it, but you will reach back out to them and say, listen, I love you, you know, let's move past this. You're going to have those moments. But we have to understand that when we have kids, we're putting human beings out into this earth. And when we do that, we're putting the next generation of people to take care of this earth, to be the next doctors, to be the next lawyers, to be the next politicians. And if the mindsets are not there because the foundations was set. We're, you know, we're, I don't know what to say, but I'm just saying we have to be more responsible, if you understand what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a psychiatrist or anything. I'm just blurting out how I feel right now. I actually feel blessed right now because I told you about the news that we heard earlier. It was the most scariest news that we ever had to hear in our lives. And then we realized all of this stuff that we were, why is everyone suddenly a expert though? I don't know. I don't know. There is no experts. There are people who talk in their experiences. And, you know, there are people who go into school to become an expert, you know. And those are the people we tend to trust them. But I always say, beginning when I'm talking, I am not an expert. I'm only talking about what I talk about. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I feel blessed because, you know, before the news that was put on us, you know, I was feeling overwhelmed and I was doing stuff that I wouldn't say that wasn't grateful, but I felt like, oh, nobody ever, you know, why is all this happening to me? And then life happened. And then it's like, oh, okay. Then you realize what you think is so important, what you think is the reason why you are, things are happening, and then when all of that can be taken away from you in a snap, then all of a sudden you're grateful for it. And one of the things I came on here is just to say, be thankful and grateful for your moment, to live in your time, in your moment. You know, I'm not too sure what that statement is. Why is everybody suddenly an expert? And if you want to explain a little bit, you can. I'm not coming on here as an expert. I'm just coming on here and speaking and talking and telling you my personal experience and giving you my personal suggestion. I'm not an expert, and I always say that. And I make sure that I tell people, you know, I'm nobody's psychiatrist or anything else like that, because I don't know. Because even in speaking, you cannot say it's 100%. You know what I'm saying? Because how I feel today, and the reasons why I feel today, could be changed tomorrow for those very reasons. And even experts are not they're not the say all and end all. Even if you ever notice when, you know, a lot of when people say I've gone to the doctor and they found something, but the doctor says it's terminal, but he does not have the last word. God has the last word. And they pray and they pray and they pray, and miraculously a miracle happens, and the doctor sits back and it's like, he's the expert, right? He knows about it, but he's stumped because he does not have the final word. So that's what, you know, I'm not sure what you mean by it, but you mean you're probably something I said earlier, you responded to it, I don't know. I'm not sure. But y'all, what I was talking about earlier too is that our kids are the most important things to us. I have 3 boys. I'm so proud of them. They're individually, they are different people in every way that you can look at it. My oldest son is very passionate. He was born on my birthday. We pretty much have the same personality. So when he's doing certain things that he's doing or handling things in a certain way, I'm like, yeah. That's me. My middle son is very artsy. He loves music. Everything he sees in music, you know, we could be walking outside and he sees the music behind everything else. So he's forever scoring life. You know what I'm saying? Just a beautiful soul. My youngest son is he loves life. You know what I'm saying? He's the youngest one, and he's married. You know, and he is such a gentleman to his wife that his wife's friends are jealous because he treats her so well. And it's interesting because I said to him when he was young, I said, it's very important that not only she understands your feelings, but you understand her feelings too. And never go to bed angry. This was my personal advice as a mother that I gave my child. And he says, Mom, you know, me and my wife, we get into these arguments or whatever. He says, but we have this thing where we sit down and we tell each other that we love each other. Because even my husband said that you got to look at the person and you got to say, is this a bad person? You know, is this a person that I could never deal with? You know, no, then let's work through this. And because of that, he's turned out to be a pretty good husband because his wife brags on him like crazy. Keep doing what you're doing. It makes them good people. You are doing something right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Scott. I really do. So, you know, my kids are so different and I love them so much. And you guys will have the opportunity, because I will be bringing them on. I brought my oldest son on, and he cooked some fried chicken with me. And then my middle son, he comes on every once in a while, and his name is Aesop Allen, AESOP_ALLEN. So he says I say it wrong because, of course, that's not his birth name, but that's the name he goes by. So I got to respect that. And then, you know, my youngest boy, maybe I can get his wife on here too. She is freaking gorgeous. She's a beautiful girl. And she's not just beautiful on the outside, she's beautiful on the inside as well. But yeah, it's important that we teach our kids the foundations in life. So when we do say, okay, now you need to go off on your own, that they are truly prepared for it as best as you can prepare them. You know, my grandmother, because I was raised by my grandmother up until I was 9 or 8. And then, of course, my mom until I was 16. And then my other grandmother until I was a certain age. And I moved back in with my mom. You know, I was back and forth. Awesome. You know, there were some lessons that my grandma taught me. You know what I'm saying? I remember one time, like I said, they're very, you know, they go to, I'm not going to say what organization they go to, but they go to a particular organization. And within this organization, unless you are of that faith, they really don't want you fraternizing with the other folks. Like you can sit and go over the Bible with them and stuff like that, but they don't want you really fraternizing. That was what they did back then when I was growing up. I don't know what they do right now, right? And so I was hurt because my cousin, they were having like this big party, and they in this big party, you know, they were like, we don't want you to go because you're not of our faith, whatever. But you know, once you get to that point, then you can come. And so I was crying because what I took it as is I'm not good enough to be with them. You know, I'm not a good, you know, person, you know, which in fact, you know, I was just a teenager, you know, and I wasn't doing anything. I was like literally, I would get my book, go in my room and read it, because we didn't have computers like that back then, and we didn't have cell phones back then. So I wasn't on no Instagram, no TikTok, like I am as a grown behind woman right now. I am. So I remember crying, and my grandmother came in, and I was like, you know, they don't want me over there because they said that I'm not good enough to be around them. And so she said to me, she said, listen, she said, no, don't you ever think that you're, you know, because it was more of a faith thing. She goes, not everybody that screams, Lord, Lord, gets into the heaven, you know. You might make it in and they don't. You know, they can't judge you in that way. She said, keep being yourself. You know, keep understanding and reading the Bible for which you know. And I thought it was like the best advice ever. And it took me through life because it made me understand personally that just because people are pointing fingers at you and saying that you're not as good as them doesn't mean that at all. You know, you shouldn't allow other people to judge you. You should understand your own worth. So that's what I mean about foundation. So that information that my grandmother gave me at that moment in time that I felt was so devastating. Like when I heard about the party, and mind you, all right, just to give you some what do they call it? I forgot what they call it. But anyway, just to give you what was going on, like there was nothing to do. It was a small town. There was nothing to do. And so when there's a party, you want to go to the party, especially people of your peers. And when you're not invited because you're unlike their faith, you're like, oh my gosh, you know. So it was devastating, and it was like the best news. So I carried that information on, and I told my kids, right? And then my kids said, you know what, that's the best information you could have gave me. I'm going to carry it on. So it's generational of good advice passed on. So those are the things that I personally feel about setting a foundation and stuff like that. So, but originally, that's not why I wanted to come on here. I just wanted to say that just I'm thankful, just to say I'm thankful. And, you know, it was really sad the last couple of days. And, you know, I believe that prayer did work. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, that's me. I did come on a little bit earlier, and I was talking about Beauty in Black. And I got an email from somebody, and they were like, "Girl, that show is very provocative." And so my advice to that, if that's something that makes you uncomfortable, then don't watch it. But I do think it's a pretty good show. The actors in there is phenomenal. It's really, really phenomenal. So I do want to tell you about a couple of stuff that I have going on, if you don't mind listening for a little bit. So I am going to be interviewing this gentleman. I'm so excited about it. I was supposed to interview him last week, and y'all are supposed to be seeing the interview this week. So yeah, actually probably, if I interview him, you'll probably see it. I want to put it out this week if possible. And I'm very excited about it, so I hope that it works out. He is an actor. He's been in so many different movies, and he has a movie out in Tubi TV. And so I'm very proud of him and everything else like that. So I definitely want to bring him here. So if you got like questions or anything else like that for him, I have a email that's in my description. Please check out the email. Send the email with your questions for him. He is an actor, okay? He's been on Tubi TV. And I can't tell you much more about it because if I don't have a chance to interview him, then I don't, yeah. So it looks really good that I am going to be able to interview him this week. And if so, I'm going to try my best to put it out by the end of the week. So that'll be good. With that, in fact, I am getting an award this Sunday. And I want to bring you guys behind the scenes of that. And I'm very honored because this award is very specific towards me interviewing different people over the years. And I've been doing this since we had a local TV show. It was very local, very low budget, but it was so much fun. It was like the best fun that I had. And so I'm getting an award, and when I was told I was getting an award, I was so happy because I was like, wow, you know, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever been acknowledged for that. So to get an award for it means a lot to me personally. So I would love to bring you guys along with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go live. And so during the whole, as much as they'll let me, there might be like turn it off. But as much as they let me, I am going to go live, and I'll bring you guys behind the scenes of me getting the award, and I'm very excited about it. There's other folks that are getting awards too, like Tamika. I'm sorry, Tamika. Latanya Sims is getting it. Tamika Allen is also getting it, and Jeffrey Wall is getting it. So if you don't know who those people are, each one of them is an actor. They have their own podcasts, so they also have podcasts, and they're getting awards for different reasons. I'm getting one for humanitarian, and for the interviews. So I want to definitely be able to push this interview out by the interview that I'm going to do by Friday, and then I want to have you guys join me back on Sunday. But tomorrow, I want you guys to come with me because I'm going to go live. So the gingerbread man sent me some ingredients, and I'm about to read those ingredients to you, if you don't mind. So give me a couple seconds. I just need to get to, where is it? Oh. So the ingredients, and I'm going to cook these ingredients because I've been telling you guys about these ingredients for like the longest time, and it just hasn't been happening. So, and he sent it to the Donna D Walker podcast. So if you guys have any like, oh, I got a nice little email there. Food suggestions. So this one is for his auntie used to make taco dip, and so I was like talking about my taco ring catastrophe because I made a taco ring online and it just did not come out right. It was the worst ever, and it was on live, and so there's that. I'm surprised that didn't go viral. So anyway, he's the gingerbread man, and he's one of the moderators on here, and he sent it to me, and so it is the taco dip, and this is something that his auntie used to make, and so I'm gonna go ahead and make that for you guys, and I'm gonna do that live tomorrow. So I'm actually going to go get the ingredients in a little bit. So I might go live getting the ingredients. I'm not sure. It depends. I don't know. So if I do, please hit the notification bell so you'll know when I'm coming on next and everything. So I am going to go live, and I am going to make this taco dip that I'm very excited about, and I can't wait to make it. And that's the main dish, and then I think I'm going to do like a huge salad. We're going to do a huge salad, and so that's what we're going to do. And then my sister-in-law, she has this oh God, I forgot what she calls it, but anyway, it's pineapple, ginger, lemon, and a little bit of garlic. So it's good for high blood pressure, according to her. So you gotta look it up. Don't try this unless you check with your doctor first. But I've actually tried it before, and it's actually freaking delicious. Even though there's garlic in it, it gives it like a little spice, and it tastes so good. So you drink it. So it's, in my opinion. So we're gonna have that as our drink beverage. So we're gonna have that. We're gonna make the taco dip, and then we're gonna do the salad. And all of this is going down on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be live, so I'm finally going to go ahead and make it. I'm very excited about that. I'm going to see if I can get my son to help me with it, because I'm going to need assistance. And so you guys are invited to come into my house at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time live, and I'm going to make din din for my family. So that's tomorrow. So far, as the schedule for this week, guys, we got tomorrow we're going to be making dinner. I'm going to try to put that video out by Thursday or Friday. So please be on the lookout for my interview. And then, of course, I'm going to bring you behind the scenes on Sunday when I get my award. So I hope you guys enjoy the time. And then also, just to kind of go over what we talked about earlier, just love up on your kids. Let them know that you're there for them. Give them the best guidance you can. Understand that they're going to get older and eventually they're going to give you guidance. So take it in as much as you can and realize that we're putting the extension of ourselves out into this world. So let's try to put the best version of it. And I'm going to go. But before I go, I just want to say one more thing to you guys. I love you, man. Oh, wait a minute. Oh no, keep doing it. I read that already. All right, so I love you, man.